Oh boy, we got a big one today. Hello everyone, it is I, El Chapo. So I've been slacking on videos lately, I am sorry, but there are a few reasons for that. 1, I've had school, 2, I've had a lack of motivation, 3, I've had a lack of ideas, and 4, life just got in the way. But after some events in the past year, I felt like this video had to be made. I'm going to try and be unbiased with this situation, but because this show is near and dear to me, and because I have a burning hatred for this kind of behavior, my opinions may shine through at times. However, I am trying to be informative and add some perspective, because there are people who kinda don't want to see this side of the situation and get angry when people show some discomfort. And before we get into this, I want to start off with one key detail. I am not going to tell people that they should not ship this. I'm not going to push it down your throat that you're bad for shipping it, and I'm not going to say that one ship is better than the other, unless the other ship is problematic. This is not my intention. I'm not here to judge people for shipping. However, my intention is to make a few points based off some very problematic behaviors that I have seen, and something that bothers me on more than a personal level. It's something that bothers a lot of people on an objective level. So, let me start off with the basics. The show Harassment Hotel has a vibrant set of characters, and with every cast of characters and shows, ships will happen. And dear God, shipping is chaotic in this fandom. Aside from the canonic lesbian couple Chaggie, which is Charlie and Vaggie, we have Radio Dust between Arlister and Angel Dust, we have Husker Dust between Angel and Husk, and the ship I'm going to be discussing for the fourth fucking time, Charlister aka RadioBelle with Alistair and Charlie, or rather, its shippers. Toxic shippers, specifically, not every single shipper of the ship is toxic, but there are very notable instances throughout almost 2 years that make the bad outweigh the good. So let's go down the list of things that have been seen after the pilot alone was released back in November of 2019. The show wasn't even on TV yet, and already these people were on a fucking bender. One last note is that the screenshots in this video were composed by my friend Ashes, and these screenshots, along with many more examples that I may not show off here, will be in a Google Drive folder below. However, I will warn some of my younger viewers, and also just my viewers in general, there are some very not safe for work and very triggering things in that Google Drive folder, so I'd like to advise that you look at it with your own discretion. So, without further ado, let's get into the fucking chaos. Certain Charlister shippers, by which I mean Nervous Alex and some others, have been notorious for drawing gore art revolving around Charlister and just gore art in general. I've gone in depth on this in my video on Alex, but I'm going to recap and give some more examples. Some of the shit that these sick fucks like to draw included Charlie decapping Vaggie and presenting it to Alistair, and Alistair committing vile acts on Vaggie's dead head. Dear fucking God, I'm going to put the screenshot up on screen. It's censored because of course it's censored. And I'm also going to show Alex's drawing, which I'm also going to censor because I'm not willing to trigger my audience and I'm not willing to get my channel taken down. So, I'm not one to kink shame most of the time, but this is fucking deplorable. Now, this not only makes your fandom look like shit, but it also reveals how much of a blatant psychopath you are. The fact that you think this looks appealing, and that you think that this is attractive and this is the right thing to do, shows that you should check yourself into a fucking mental hospital. And that piece of necrophilia was made by that salty bobcat. Don't worry, we'll get to her later. She's one of the big three of the Charlister trio. And there are more examples of this bullshit that I'll leave in the Google Drive folder. Let's get on to the next segment. These people have harassed other shippers because they feel like theirs is better or they're being homophobic or whatever. Let's take a look at some examples. This is specifically based on their harassment of Chaggie shippers. Now, Chaggie shippers aren't the prey to these people. They are not the only shippers they are harassed. In fact, they are not the only people these people have harassed, but this segment is specifically about the Chaggie shippers. The second somebody brings up Chaggie, it's like the fucking bat signal calling these people like, hey, someone's enjoying some canon, go bully these people who may or may not be children, and then bam, they rise up like the demons they are and fucking harass people. One person known for doing this is somebody named Juan. I have made a Google Doc which I spent about an hour or so on, compiling all his bullshit. I will leave that in the description below. Juan has a history of going to the pages of Chaggie shippers and harassing them with the comment, "Next Charlister please," as a way of getting them to draw Charlister, or at the very least trying to get them to draw Charlister. Now, you may notice here in this screenshot that Juan used the phrase "Next Charlie x Alistair please" instead of the usual "Next Charlister please." Let me put up an example where he actually uses "Next Charlister please," and now compare that to this one. The reason why this phrase is so different is not because these two are not the same person, it's because these people have gotten smarter and blocked the Charlister tag, so he's resorted to using this tag. Also, this comment was left on a post which was a Chaggie piece, and you know what happened? The art got fucking deleted, which is absolutely chaotic. Now, there's more cases of harassment here, however, they're not regular harassment, where it's like, oh, fuck you. It's more the kind of harassment where it's like, oh, you said something I didn't like, so I'm going to send you Gore art. So, chaotic harassment. And the fact that this is being done to Chaggie shippers specifically means that these people are being targeted, which is unfortunate. I'm going to put up two examples on screen. One of them is Vaggy's head on a dinner table, which, dear God, kill me. And the other example is Alex saying that they're going to send these pieces to Chaggie shippers the moment they get called out. Now, I understand that a lot of people out there are triggered by Gore, so the fact that these dipshits went out of their way to harass these specific people by sending them Gore is absolutely fucking deplorable. Another cringeworthy thing these assholes do is harass Chaggie shippers with their brain cell killing memes saying that they're drinking a mug of Chaggie worshipper tears. Kinda like those memes you see of dumbass feminists drinking from male tear mugs. But oh no, we aren't done yet. This segment is dedicated to the moments where these Charlister stands decided to try and harass show staff. For example, these people decided to try and get a petition to make the ship canon. RadioBelle did this too, but they have far less offensive. And for example, when Viv and her team poked fun at Charlister shippers trying to make the ship canon, the shippers went into a fucking frenzy. For example, our local harasser Ajax, who we will get into later, posted a bunch of screenshots while trying to claim that Viv's pop traced, a claim that I have already disproven in a video with Jester. Link for that will be with all my other sources in the description. Along with that, people were getting salty, no pun intended, about Viv's team bashing their beloved ship. One of these people was Alpha Liar, and Alpha made a thread on Twitter whining about Viv's team, and here it is. I will actually read it off for you because I feel like reading it today. Quote, "That's why fucking Viv's crew behaving like whiny bitches about Charlister shippers being evil makes me want to laugh and vomit at the same time. These biased idiots don't even have any screens of us being aggressors, while we can fucking drown them with proofs we are harassed way more than others in this fandom. And those people are almost always Chaggie shippers. And Viv's crew have fucking nerves being this disgusting to support people writing these things to the actual fans and supporters of the show just because we ship Charlister. It was just a joke, and Charlister shippers are horrible. Yeah? Fucking prove it. We can prove everything we've been talking about for months, and you can only spew a stream of empty, unreasonable shit to our side. Empty like your freaking canon couple." Oh my god, the amount of pure stupidity, Alpha. This is why you're no longer on Twitter, because you sound fucking. So, let me state this. There are tons of screenshots proving that you're the aggressors here. In fact, I have a whole folder full of them. And by the way, this behavior is all normalized in the fandom with this ship. Abusive power imbalance dynamics run rampant here. Well, yeah, it's simply fiction. People like myself who have been in these kinds of situations, shitty situations, tend to feel great discomfort seeing this shit shoved in their faces at the rate it is constantly. Hell, now I get it. Alright, I do get it. Every single fandom has its toxic shippers. Undertale has pedophilia and Sancest, Gravity Falls has pedophilia, MLB has pedophilia, and furries, and bronies and ferals. Oh my god, pedophilia is a common theme. This is worrying me on several levels, but the point still stands. The level of toxicity and volatile attitudes this one ship has created is staggering and nauseating to witness. It's okay to have a ship and have fun, but in celebrating your ship, you have also disrespected artists and their work, harassed show staff to make your show canon, promoted abusive ship dynamics, and normalized abuse within the ship, caused the very creator of the show to mute the ship tag on Twitter, sent literal mobs after people because they have an opinion. By doing all that, you're invalidating your ship. But oh no, we are not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so this segment is going to cover the harassment of PastelSky. I've already covered this before, but I will recap it just for the purposes of this video. So, what have we got here? Somebody by the name of Hasbin Ho, aka Galactic Dud, and yes, I know I'm saying the names wrong, I don't care, has been a spearhead for Charlister, and they come off as very entitled, as if this ship is more important to her than breathing, and anyone who dares pay tribute to other ships voice their discomfort, or if Vivzy dare likes Chaggie and appreciate it over Charlister is vile and beneath her, which of course Vivzy is going to appreciate Chaggie more. It is literally canon. Her latest egregious incident, which you already know, is the incident where she defended the sexual harassment of somebody who at the time was a minor. Her attitude has gone so far downhill lately. Oh, and by the way, she knew Eden in the past, so that was fun. This situation also involves our dear Ajax, who I brought up earlier in the video. See, when I brought up how salty these people got over being called out, I was sorta making a very big understatement. Pastel, who was 17 at the time, decided to call out one of these shippers. It was most likely Alpha, as Alpha has a penchant for this sort of shit. So, the moment that Pastel called Alpha out on Twitter, her whole Discord server went into a fucking riot. They made lewd jokes about Pastel's kinks and wet dreams and even made up a story that she was being abused. I go more in depth on this in another video, aka the one I mentioned earlier. For now, I'll just show off the best highlights from Galactic Dud's very own Twitter thread before she deleted her Twitter. Quote, "Well, it's not funny. Accusing people of horrible things just because you got your feelings hurt for being called out when you harassed us, when you cast stones at us, now all of a sudden you get to play victim. You weren't there, you only got out of context screens. If what you said about being abused was true, Pastel, you have my sympathy. I was abused a good part of my childhood, oh boo fucking who. My sister was abused by her boyfriend, my older sister her husband. I know abuse, I've lived it, I know the pain, but what you're doing is harmful. You can agree with me until we're both blue in the face, but that won't do anyone any good and we all know it. But I mean this sincerely. Get yourself out of that situation, you're an adult now, you can leave, go somewhere else, maybe contact a friend IRL. See if they need a roommate, but do not continue down this path. Your posts are so obsessive over this whole thing that it seems like it may be some kind of paranoia. Getting out of your abusive home may help to remedy that. My sister had to leave town, her paranoia got so bad. Segueing further into this, here's what actually happened in regards to Pastel. People didn't know she was a minor. Only one person made a sexual comment regarding her. This was the only comment. I'm fairly certain she was unaware that Pastel was a minor at the time. And who do you see here? You see Ajax. So, this pattern of behavior with the toxic members of the ship and the fandom, it's gotta stop. Everyone has their ship, their creations, their artwork, etc. It doesn't mean we have to argue like this. On to the next and final segment. This final segment is dedicated to some of the other general fuckery these asshats have pulled. So, we're going to go through a little lightning round for this segment. Do you remember that salty bobcat? Well, she romanticized abusive relationships, such as cheating and possessiveness, etc. One infamous example of this is when she drew Alistair, claiming that Charlie was a prize that was already claimed, while Vaggie cries in the background. And along with this, they show a drawing where Charlie is marked and Alistair says, and I quote, "Don't forget who you belong to." And then, there's a usual harassment of Chaggie shippers by the other Charlister shippers, which you can see in these next screenshots I will put up on the screen. And, after that, there's Juan crying about his precious Charlister artists not drawing Charlister anymore. And let me read these off. Quote, "Hey, I'm very sorry since when that ship appeared, some of my artists that you don't know said that they were going to stop drawing Charlister for the ship, and I don't want you to. You were my favorite artist that you drew nothing but Charlister, but now thanks to this comic, the Charlister will no longer be the most shipped. This better, I will stop following you. And because you drew them, you are supposed to be a Charlister and you don't like shipping with Alistair and Charlie. I guess the Charlister is going to stop being popular." Oh my... Okay. Before I move on to this next thing, I gotta say, Juan, learn some fucking English, man. I know that I shouldn't be talking because I'm literally Puerto Rican and barely know any Spanish, but goddamn, if we're going to speak the language, at the very least have it make sense, because if you can't understand what we're saying and we can't understand what you're saying, there's no real point to you being here. Anywho, on to the next thing. I think Alpha might be a pedophile because this is what she had to say about lollies. I'll put it up on screen because I'm not going to read it. Fuck that. So yeah, no, if you're trying to say that you're not a pedophile while saying you like depictions of children, you're a very pedophile. And finally, Salty draws porn. So there's nothing surprising about that, and there's not exactly anything wrong with that. Believe me, I'm the kind of person that believes that as long as you're not depicting children or animals or any screwed up shit, looking at you, Stovia shippers, then you're good. However, yeah, no, this falls into the problematic category. I'm going to censor it, because of course, if you're drawing cheating in any way and depicting it as porn, you are fucked in the head. And besides, I have seen much, much better. Before we move on to the outro, here's one more ounce of pure cringe, which is very, very gory. I will also censor this for the sake of my audience and my brain cells. Alright, so allow me to make a few closing statements. There's room inside the fandom for more than one ship. Your ship is not more important or special, the ship itself is problematic in and of itself. And the level of disrespect and depravity I have seen over a pairing of characters is disappointing to say the least. I have had my personal issues with the Charlister fandom, but I could still enjoy the art as long as it's wholesome and not going to such extremes. But after everything else I've witnessed, I'm more or less uncomfortable with the ship, and I hope it's understandable why myself and many others are starting to act the same. And I had to look through a whole folder filled with about 100 or so images and pick which ones to use here in this video, and to be honest, it kinda made me genuinely sick. And I feel bad for the Charlister community, because people like this that ruin fandoms and give people a bad rap for no absolute reason. That's all I have to say on this topic. I hope I was clear and concise as I could be with this topic. Please remember, no ship is better than others or invalid unless pedophilia and incest are involved. Looking at you, Stovia, once again. But anyways, let's try to give respect to other ships and their efforts to create content for them. Like a certain fuckboy says, let's continue to inspire each other. Anywho, if you guys enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, whatever. I put a lot of effort into this. In fact, I put myself through literal pain. But yeah. Check out everything in the description, Curious Cat, Twitter, Discord, all of this stuff. And also, my Tumblr, which I recently made. And I get to talk about Stovia there if you want to see me do that kind of thing. Without any more words to say, this has been Quartza, now going to go edit for a while, and signing out. Have a good one, lads. Oh, and one final message for all the Charlister stands who want to come after me for this. Here you go.